Here is the recap of the 4th season of Supernatural. Dean regains consciousness in a grave and attempts to escape. Once he succeeds, he makes his way to a gas station, cleans himself up, and notices a handprint on his shoulder. Dean soon contacts Bobby, but the man assumes it is a prank and does not believe him. Dean visits a friend who thinks he is something supernatural, so he repeatedly attempts to stab him with a silver knife and pour holy water on him. But Dean passes all these tests. Trying to understand how he managed to escape from hell, Dean learns that Sam has not been in touch for several months. The main characters find Sam in the company of a woman. They are both convinced that the younger brother has made a deal with a demon, but it turns out that this is not the case. Dean and Bobby are glad that Sam's soul remains pure, but the question of who saved him and why remains unanswered. They turn to medium Pamela for help. However, during the seance, she is unable to find out anything except his name. A certain Castiel warns her and asks her to end the seance, but the woman decides to see it through to the end. When she manages to get close to the answer, her eyes are literally burned by a bright light. At the cafe, the brothers encounter demons, but they don't know anyone powerful enough to save a person from hell. The main characters leave, but Sam wants to return to kill them, while Dean is more interested in searching for the mysterious Castiel. In the end, the brothers split up without telling each other their intentions. Sam returns to the cafe and finds the bodies of people with burned eyes. He tries to interrogate the surviving demon, but she doesn't say anything. Then Sam points his palm at her and uses his gift to banish her to hell. Meanwhile, Dean summons Castiel and learns that he is not a demon, but an angel who saved him only because Dean still has work to do in this world. Dean tells Sam and Bobby about the angel, and although the others don't question this fact, Dean himself doesn't understand why God ordered him to be rescued. Meanwhile, Bobby is concerned that one of the hunters has stopped communicating, so he suggests that the Winchesters go to her house to check if everything is okay. However, upon entering the house, the main characters notice Salt and realize that Olivia was trying to protect herself from a ghost. The trio finds the hunter's torn body and decides to check on the others. It turns out that this is not the only such case. Soon, Sam sees a ghost. Henriksen behaves differently from the other restless souls. He is furious and very angry because Lilith was looking for Sam at the police station, which means they died because of him. Dean arrives just in time and shoots Henriksen with salt. Meanwhile, Bobby is not answering his phone, and the Winchesters rush to him, suspecting that he is also in danger. While Sam searches for Bobby, Dean encounters Meg's ghost. Meanwhile, Sam manages to find Bobby, who was nearly killed by the ghosts of the twins. The main characters try to understand why so many spirits have appeared. Dean remembers seeing a mark on Meg's hand, and Henriksen had the exact same one. Bobby manages to find out what it means. It turns out that the sudden appearance of ghosts and their anger towards the living is nothing more than the rising of the witnesses, described in the Book of Revelation. In the end, Bobby finds a spell that can send the ghosts back. At night, Dean meets with Cass, who confirms Bobby's words. It turns out that the rising of the witnesses is one of the 66 seals. When the last one is broken, Lucifer himself will be set free, and with him will come the apocalypse. At night, Sam leaves to meet Ruby, and soon Cass arrives at the room. He asks Dean to stop this and, without specifying the details, touches his head. So Dean is transported back in time and meets his father. He doesn't understand what exactly he is supposed to do, but when he sees his mother, he begins to think that he must prevent her death. It turns out that Mary was a hunter, like her father Samuel. However, with John, Mary hoped to start a family and retire, fearing that her own children would live in the same fear as she did. Entering the house as a guest, Dean learns that a strange incident has occurred nearby and decides to check it out. There he encounters one of the victims of the yellow-eyed demon and decides that now is his chance to kill Azazel. He takes the colt and, with the help of his father's diary, learns where the next attack will take place. But then Mary and her father arrive. In the end, the yellow-eyed demon leaves the body and disappears. Dean tells his grandfather the truth about himself and Mary. He asks for help in capturing Azazel, but it soon becomes clear that the demon has possessed Samuel and apparently spotted Mary on that very day. Dean learns that Azazel does not make deals in exchange for souls, but only fulfills the requests of people who then agree to let him into their homes in 10 years. Azazel does not reveal why he needed to raise a whole generation of children with demonic blood, and then kills Dean's grandmother and goes after Mary. He pulls her out of the car and offers to make a deal in exchange for resurrecting John, whom he has just killed. Dean is too late to stop her, and Azazel disappears. Returning to the present, Dean regrets that he couldn't change the past. Cass reassures him, assuring him that it was impossible. He only showed him this so that he would learn about the demon blood that Azazel gave Sam. Cass asks him to stop his brother because he has stepped onto a slippery slope, and if Dean doesn't do it, the angels will stop him themselves. Sam tries to find out where Lilith is, but nothing works, and he has to banish the demon. Dean sees all this and realizes that his brother has lied to him and continues to use his power. Moreover, he learns that the woman he saw with him at the motel is not just a fling, but Ruby, who has been with him all along. The brothers argue, and Dean tries to explain to Sam that he has gone down a slippery slope, and even the angels want him to stop. Sam himself thinks he is helping people, because now it is not necessary to use a blade for exorcism, and many people manage to save their lives. The brothers' quarrel is interrupted by a call from Hunter Travis, who asks the boys for help. The Winchesters take on the case and learn that this time they are dealing with a Rugaru. Several decades ago, Travis stopped one such monster. Only then he didn't know that his wife was pregnant. Travis didn't kill the child and hoped that the gene would not manifest itself, but all these years he watched over Jack. In the end, his worst fears were confirmed, and the man is about to transform. He just needs to taste human flesh once. Dean tries to explain to him that this can be fought. However, words don't help much, and Jack thinks the Winchesters are crazy and demands to leave. Soon, hunger becomes unbearable, and the man begins to think about murder. Returning home, he finds his wife tied to a chair. It turns out that Travis decided not to follow Sam's plan, because experience tells him that Jack will be no exception and will sooner or later turn into a monster anyway. He tries to kill him and his wife because she is pregnant, but hesitates, and Jack breaks free. The man attacks the hunter and kills him in front of his beloved, then begins to eat his prey. When the Winchesters arrive at Jack's house, they find only Travis's remains. Now it is clear that there is no turning back, and Jack must be killed. In the end, they find him and burn him. In the car, Sam admits that he has decided to stop using his abilities, but he is not doing it for Dean or to please the angels. He is doing it for himself. Under the guise of FBI agents, the main characters examine the body of the deceased and find bite marks on her neck. The witness claims to have seen a vampire in a cloak, resembling Dracula. But the Winchesters know how vampires operate, and they certainly don't leave such marks. Soon, another incident occurs in the city. A werewolf kills a woman's boyfriend right in front of her, and an examination confirms that wolf hair was found on the victim's body. Sometime later, a mummy attacks a security guard. In between investigations, Dean asks a local waitress out on a date, but Dracula attacks her too. Dean saves the woman and tears off the monster's ear in a fight. All this leads the brothers to believe that they are dealing with a shapeshifter, only this time he is not impersonating other people, but is hiding behind supernatural creatures. It soon becomes clear that the monster is the waitress's buddy. She kidnaps Dean and her friend. At the last moment, the waitress manages to grab a gun and shoot silver bullets. In the end, the shapeshifter dies, and the Winchesters take on a new case. The Winchesters investigate the death of Frank, who allegedly died of a heart attack. However, during the autopsy, the medical examiner finds no heart abnormalities. At the same time, several similar cases have come to light. After talking to the victims' acquaintances, the brothers learn that shortly before their deaths, all of the victims experienced intense fear, which was likely the cause of their deaths. At this time, Dean himself begins to fear everything around him. After talking to Bobby, Sam learns that they are dealing with a phantom illness, and to stop it, They need to find the person who started it all. Soon, Dean coughs up splinters, and Sam decides that this is their clue. The brothers go to the sawmill and find the ID of a certain Luther, and then they see his ghost. They learn from the deceased's brother that he was in love with Frank's wife when he was alive, and when she disappeared, her worried husband decided that he was responsible. So he came to the sawmill, threw a chain around his neck, and dragged him around until he died. Later, it turns out that Luther had nothing to do with his wife's death. Dean's condition worsens and he begins to see hallucinations. From legends, Bobby learns that such a ghost can be killed by scaring it to death. Sam decides to repeat the day when Frank killed him. He lures Luther and throws a chain around his neck, while Bobby drags him around until the ghost disappears. The illness recedes, and Sam asks his brother what he saw before his supposed death. Dean does not tell the truth about seeing Lilith and being reminded of the horrors he had to endure in hell. A few days before Halloween, a good family man dies under mysterious circumstances. He ate only one piece of candy, but swallowed 4 razor blades along with it. After searching the house, Dean finds a witch's bag. Sometime later, a cheerleader also dies, and witchcraft is involved in this case as well. From legends, Sam learns about a ritual to resurrect the powerful demon Samhine, whom the witch is trying to summon with sacrifices. Once he is free, he will resurrect all supernatural beings, and then the world will be in trouble. Soon, Cass appears with his partner Uriel. They know about Samhine because his resurrection is one of the 66 seals, and it cannot be allowed to be broken. That is why they flew to this city, to wipe it off the face of the earth. Dean is against this decision and promises that they will stop the witch. The brothers find the teacher who started the ritual to bring Samhine back to life. He's planning to kill his next victim, a woman named Tracy, but doesn't get the chance. The Winchesters save her and kill the warlock, not realizing that the woman was his accomplice. Tracy completes the resurrection ritual and summons Samhine, who possesses the man's body and kills the witch, then goes to the cemetery to resurrect all the evil spirits in the city. Sam wants to use his gift, because one blade is clearly not enough to get rid of Samhine, but his brother is against it, because these abilities are luring him to the dark side. However, at the cemetery, the Winchesters have to split up. When Sam realizes that the blade doesn't work, he decides to use his power in front of Dean. The younger brother expels the demon, but the seal is still broken. Uriel comes to Sam and reminds him that he was forbidden to use his powers. As soon as he is no longer useful, they will destroy him. Before leaving, the angel tells him to ask his brother about hell, hinting that Dean remembers everything. Meanwhile, Dean regrets that they failed to stop the ritual, but Cass reassures him that God told them not to save the town, but to follow Dean's orders. The angel admits that he has many doubts and questions, but the only thing he knows for sure is that Dean will have to make many difficult decisions in the future. From the news, the Winchesters learn about a ghost who helped a woman, but the strangeness doesn't end there, because soon the brothers meet a girl whose teddy bear suddenly comes to life. It turns out that she made a wish and threw a coin into an artificial pool. After examining the site, the brothers find an old coin with the image of an ancient monster. According to legend, this creature was a symbol of chaos and destruction, and the only one who can retrieve the coin and stop the series of crazy events is the one who threw it. So the Winchesters find Wes, who announced his engagement to a local beauty a month ago. In normal life, the woman would hardly have paid any attention to him, so the brothers decide that he is the one who started this chain of events. They try to persuade him to retrieve the coin, but Wes is initially hesitant. However, he eventually realizes that this is not how it should be. He retrieves the coin from the pool, thus canceling all the wishes of the locals. Soon Dean admits that he lied to Sam when he said he didn't remember anything about hell. However, he doesn't want to talk about it yet, because he can't express all the pain he went through. The Winchesters are trying to earn some money playing pool at a bar when Ruby suddenly appears. She tells them the latest news about a woman named Anna who has escaped from a mental hospital and is being hunted by demons. Sam decides to find her, even though Dean doesn't understand why he blindly believes Ruby. At the mental hospital, the attending physician shows them Anna's drawings. This is how the Winchesters learn that she knows about the rising of the witnesses and the resurrection of Samhine. They decide to find her, but at her home they find only her murdered parents. Then Sam remembers the stained glass window in the church she often visited and realizes that Anna has decided to hide there. His guess turns out to be correct, and the boys do indeed find the fugitive. It turns out that she can eavesdrop on the conversations of angels, and this gift appeared on the day Dean was resurrected. Ruby rushes in and warns everyone about the imminent arrival of the demon. Sam hides Anna in the closet and tries to deal with the enemy using his gift, but the demon proves to be stronger. He pushes Sam away and goes after Dean, reminding him how they became friends in hell. Dean realizes that it is Alistair, but he can't do anything. In the end, the wounded Winchesters are able to escape, while Ruby manages to save Anna. Back at the motel, Dean asks his brother why he trusts Ruby so much, and he tells him about the events that took place after his death. It turns out that Ruby saved his life, and then gave him a purpose in the form of killing Lilith. Soon, a maid knocks on the door and tells them where Anna is. It turns out that Ruby possessed the woman to distract the demons. When the brothers arrive at the location, Dean thanks Ruby for looking after Sam all this time. A moment later, Cass and Uriel appear. They demand that Anna be handed over to them, as she is destined to die. The angels assure the Winchesters that she is not as innocent as they think. However, they are unable to reach Anna, as she sends them away with a spell. To get to the bottom of the truth and understand who she is, the brothers ask Pamela to conduct a seance. In the end, the plan works, and Anna remembers that she is an angel. Many years ago, she disobeyed an order, fell to earth, and now her own kind must kill her. To avoid this, she must find her lost grace. This is the energy she lost when she fell from the sky. Since she was flying like a meteor, such a phenomenon could not go unnoticed, and soon Sam manages to find out exactly where her fall was seen. Upon reaching the place, Anna realizes that her grace has been stolen. Meanwhile, Ruby apologizes to Sam, because if she had known that the fugitive was an angel, she would not have told him about it. And so it turns out that they are now between heaven and hell. Ruby is afraid of Alistair, and asks Sam to train his abilities again to banish him back to the underworld, but he refuses. Anna tells Dean that she knows what he had to do in hell. She asks him not to keep it all to himself and to share it with his loved ones, because there are people around who want to help. Uriel appears to Dean in a dream. It turns out that he stole Anna's grace so that she couldn't return. He fails to persuade him to reveal Anna's location, but under threat to Sam's life, the angel gets what he wants. Meanwhile, Ruby summons Alistair and offers to hand Anna over to him in exchange for a guarantee that she and both Winchesters will be able to leave. However, the demon refuses and tortures her until she agrees to lead him to Anna. So the Winchesters and Anna meet with angels and demons. While supernatural beings fight each other, Anna snatches her grace and becomes an angel again. It turns out that pitting angels and demons against each other was Sam's plan all along, and everything went well because they saved Anna. Dean tells Sam what happened down below. 4 months in hell felt like 40 years, where every day he was tortured and torn to pieces, and at the end of the day, Alistair would come and offer to end his suffering by becoming an executioner. He refused for 30 years, but then gave in. Dean tortured people's souls, and these memories cause him incredible pain. The Winchesters begin investigating the murder of Bill, who was found dead in his own home, locked from the inside. After questioning the housekeeper, the brothers discover that his wife died in childbirth, and 20 years later, his daughter took her own life in the attic. The boys go to the house to find something for the spirit to cling to, but it turns out that the house has already been sold. On their first night there, the children see a woman, and the Winchesters rush to their cries. Thinking they are dealing with a ghost, the brothers make a circle of salt, but the woman still passes through it. It becomes clear that they are dealing with an ordinary person. Dean and Ted find a hole in the wall and go in search of the woman, but are suddenly attacked, and Ted dies. It turns out that 2 feral children, the result of incest, live in the house. In the end, they are killed, and the brothers leave the place with a heavy heart. The Winchesters arrive in the City of Magic, where magicians perform their tricks on every corner. One of them is Jay, a card cheat. One day the man decides to perform his last trick, knowing that he will not be able to get out and will die, but a miracle happens and he succeeds. Although another person dies at that moment. Believing in his luck, the magician decides to perform the most dangerous trick and survives again, but another person dies in his place. The Winchesters find a tarot card on each victim and believe that Jay has learned to use real magic. However, after talking to him, they realize that they were wrong and that he has nothing to do with it. Next to come under suspicion is his best friend Charlie, but he also dies during one of Jay's tricks. Then the man himself begins to believe that his show is killing people, so he turns to the brothers for help, whom he recently considered cuckoo. The guys suggest that he distract friend Vernon while they search his room. There they find a flyer with a photo of a young man with a scar and immediately realize that it is Charlie after all. While Vernon and Jay are sorting things out, young Charlie approaches them. It turns out that he is over 100 years old and is ready to share the gift of immortality with his friends. They just need to want it. The Winchesters try to stop him, and Charlie demonstrates his power by trying to kill the brothers. A moment later, the man is stabbed and learns that Jay planted a tarot card on him to stop him. Meanwhile, Sam learns from Ruby that Lilith has already broken 34 seals, and the only way to stop her is to continue improving his abilities. At first, Sam refuses, but then agrees. A murder has taken place at the school where Dean and Sam once studied. The younger brother questions a girl and learns that she couldn't control herself, but there was no smell of sulfur or black smoke. When the Winchesters cross the threshold of the building, they immediately remember their youth. Sam wanted to be normal, so he didn't show the local bully Dirk that he could stand up for himself. However, when the guy picked on the weak student Barry, Sam couldn't take it anymore and got into a fight with him, then gave him a nickname, not knowing that it would stay with him for the rest of his life. Meanwhile, the series of incidents continues, and Dean finds a list of everyone who has ever died at the school. Barry was among them. Thinking that he has become a ghost, the brothers burn his bones and prepare to leave. But before that, Sam decides to meet with his teacher. When Sam returns to school, he is attacked by a female student. She knows his name and is clearly furious. He manages to grab a handful of salt and exorcise the spirit from her. Soon, Dean reviews the cases of all the victims and finds something they have in common. They all rode the same school bus. The brothers decide to search it but find no belongings of the students. The only clue is the bus driver. It turns out that Dirk was his son, and the Winchesters decide to talk to him. It turns out that Dirk was bullied at school, and after his mother's death, he changed completely. Sam feels guilty because Dirk started getting bullied after Sam beat him up and gave him a hurtful nickname. It turns out that Dirk's father kept his son's hair as a memento and carried it around on the bus. Dean finds the lock of hair in time and saves his brother from the ghost that appears. The Winchesters arrive at the prison and interview a man who killed his wife for no apparent reason. It turns out that they had no problems until he went to a strip club where he met a woman. She was the embodiment of his ideal, for whom he killed his wife, and his case is not the only one in town. Sam goes to see the expert carer, who performed autopsies on the wives and examined their husbands. She found nothing unusual except for elevated levels of oxytocin in the men's blood. Bobby suggests to the guys that it might be a siren. According to legend, these creatures are indeed capable of luring men, prompting them to commit insane acts. However, it is not so easy to identify her. She appears to her victim in the form that seems ideal to them. Soon, FBI agent Nick shows up. He says he's already found some interesting clues. The brothers decide to take advantage of the situation and split up. While Dean and Nick are at the bar tracking down the siren, Sam goes to Kara's place to check out the killer's blood samples. But it turns out they're gone. The couple have a heart-to-heart talk and grow closer, but soon Dean calls and says that Kara is the siren. He is sure of this because Nick found hyacinths at every crime scene, and there is an identical flower in Kara's office. Thinking his brother is obsessed, Dean decides not to take him on the case and goes in search of the killer with Nick, who turns out to be the real Siren. After poisoning the Winchesters with his saliva, he turns Dean against Sam and demands that he kill him. When Sam shows up, he poisons him too. Nick stands and watches as the brothers fight over him and are about to kill each other. At that moment, Bobby appears and kills the Siren by stabbing him with a knife. Following Bobby's lead, the brothers arrive in a town where no one has died in the past 10 days. This seems unusual, since terminal cancer or a gunshot wound to the heart should have taken lives. However, this did not happen. Bobby believes that the reason is that the Grim Reaper has been kidnapped. If the demons manage to kill Death, another seal will be broken. Realizing that only the dead or dying can see Reapers, Dean suggests calling Pamela for help and asking her to put them into a trance. The plan works, and the brothers become ghosts. Soon they find a boy who was the last person to die in the city. From him, the brothers learn that the Reaper was kidnapped by Black Smoke. After that, a new Reaper appeared, Tessa, who came for Dean in the second season. Dean tells her that the angels considered his life meaningful and brought him back from hell, but Tessa asks him not to be fooled by them and to trust his instincts, because deep down he knows that miracles don't happen. Then the Black Smoke appears and takes Tessa away. Dean and Sam arrive to rescue the Reapers and meet Alistair. It turns out that the death of 2 Reapers is needed to break the seal, but he fails to complete the task, and the brothers rescue Tessa. Cass appears and takes Alistair away, stating that it was he who called, not Bobby, because the angels needed their help. At this time, Pamela hears someone sneaking into the room. When a demon attacks her, the woman manages to bring Sam back, and he banishes it. Dean regains consciousness and sees Pamela bleeding to death. Before she dies, she tells Sam that she knows what he did to the demon. She is sure that he is mistaken if he thinks he is using his gift for good. Cass and Uriel meet with the Winchesters and tell them about the murder of 7 angels. They are sure that demons are behind it. That's why they tried to get the name out of Alistair, but all their attempts were in vain. Now they want Dean to torture his tormentor because he is his most capable student. Dean refuses, but the angels take him with them anyway. Cass admits that he would have done everything possible to avoid this, but there is no choice. Dean begins the torture and learns that it was he who broke the first seal. He was the righteous man who shed blood in hell. Dean is shocked and cannot believe it, but in a moment Alistair breaks free and beats him half to death, and even Cass is powerless to help him. Meanwhile, Sam calls Ruby and asks her to help find his brother, then drinks her blood to gain strength for the coming battle. Fortunately, he arrives in time and rescues Dean and Cass, but it turns out that it wasn't demons who killed the angels. After talking to Anna, Cass begins to doubt that his order really came from God. He guesses that it was Uriel who released Alistair. The thing is, the angel no longer wants to serve the Lord and is gathering his army to help approach the apocalypse. And he kills those angels who disagree with him. Cass refuses to go against his father, so Uriel attacks him. But a moment later, Anna appears and kills Uriel. Dean regains consciousness and asks Cass if he really broke the first seal. The angel confirms Alistair's words, adding that now only he can save humanity from the end of the world. Sam and Dean wake up as different people. From now on, the younger brother is a simple support service employee, and the older brother is a middle manager. Sam thinks he has seen Dean before, but Dean does not agree. Soon, strange things begin to happen in the office. An employee kills himself because he allegedly did a poor job, and a few days later, Dean witnesses another similar incident and sees a ghost. At that moment, he remembers that Sam recently asked him about spirits, saying he believed in them. It seemed strange to him at the time, but now he decides to discuss it with Sam. So the brothers go hunting and learn how to kill a ghost from videos on a ghost hunter blog. In the end, they manage to get rid of the remains. Sam begins to feel as if he has experienced something similar before, and that hunting is his true calling. He suggests to Dean that they become a team and save people from evil, but Dean refuses. Soon, management arrives and offers him a promotion. Dean decides to quit, admitting that he also loves hunting. At that moment, the boss touches his head, and Dean's memory returns. It turns out that he is facing the head of Cass, the angel Zachariah. After the incident with Uriel, he had to come down to earth and restore order here, as well as show Dean that he is a hunter not because of circumstances, but because it is his calling. Posing as FBI agents, the Winchesters arrive at a bookstore hoping to question the salesperson about the flickering lights and residents' complaints. However, the situation gets out of hand when they are mistaken for fans of the Supernatural book series. It turns out that an unknown author has written numerous books about their lives, detailing every case, every monster, and even every woman Dean has ever met. The brothers decide to find the writer and end up finding Chuck. After a while, they manage to convince him that they are not fans of his work, but real people about whom he writes books. And then Chuck tells them about his new vision, according to which Lilith will come to Sam. Not understanding how it is possible that Chuck knows everything in such detail, Dean decides not to take any chances and do everything he can to prevent this meeting from happening, because they are not ready for this battle. Throughout the day, the brothers try to do the opposite of everything so that Chuck's visions turn out to be wrong. But nothing works, and no matter how hard they try, everything turns out exactly as the writer said. Soon, Dean learns from Cass that Chuck is not just a seer, but a prophet. Then Dean asks Cass for help, hoping that he can intervene and prevent the disaster. But the angel cannot interfere with the prophecy. However, Cass hints at how to get rid of the demon. The fact is that the prophet is being watched by an archangel who will wipe out any demon that happens to be in the same room with him. Dean brings Chuck to the motel, and Lilith, fearing death, disappears. Sam tells Dean what he has learned. The demon offered a deal, promising to stop breaking the seals in exchange for their heads. The thing is, she won't survive the apocalypse anyway, so there's no point in it for her. Meanwhile, Chuck sees another prophecy, after which Zachariah appears. The angel asks him not to tell the Winchesters what he has seen, because it is better for people not to know their fate. Dean receives a call from his father and learns that they have a brother named Adam. Dean is convinced that this is just another trick by some monster, so he agrees to meet him and goes fully armed. Adam arrives at the cafe and passes the test with holy water and silver. From their father's diary, the boys realize that he really could be their brother. It turns out that the guy called John because his mother had disappeared. The brothers get down to business and learn that their father regularly visited Adam. Probably during one of his visits, he killed a monster, and that case is somehow connected with the current one. Dean goes to the cemetery to look for the creature that is opening graves and feeding on the remains. There he finds the bodies of Adam's mother and Adam himself. He realizes that Sam is in danger. Sam is tied up and told the story of how John killed their father, and now they have decided to destroy everyone he loved. They confirm that Adam was indeed their brother, then torture Sam. Dean appears and kills the monsters. It turns out that they were not werewolves but ghouls, which is why silver had no effect on them. In a dream, Cass comes to Dean and asks him to come to the address in the note, because he needs to tell him something important. The Winchesters go to the location, but find only the angel's vessel, a guy named Jimmy. The man tells the brothers that the angel has left his body, and he himself does not remember what exactly Cass wanted to tell them. Dean believes that Jimmy should be returned to his family, because that is what they do. They save people. However, Sam is sure that it is not safe, because demons could find him and torture him to reveal the angel's secrets. At night, Sam leaves to finish the demon's blood supply, and at that moment, Jimmy runs away. He returns home, but his wife does not believe that he talks to angels. Suddenly, Jimmy's friend arrives and says he will kill his daughter. The man tries to save his loved ones, but nothing works, and there are more and more demons appearing. The Winchesters show up and rescue the family. Sam warns Jimmy that this will never end, and that his family will be safer without him. The man decides to leave his loved ones and go away, but the plan fails because Amelia is already possessed. The trio has to return. Jimmy asks Cass to keep his promise and save his wife and daughter. When the Winchesters are caught by demons, one of them shoots Jimmy, but at that moment, his daughter touches the demon and expels it. A fight breaks out, and Sam can't resist the demon's blood. He drinks it in front of his brother, then expels the demon from Amelia's body. It turns out that Cass possessed the girl and helped Jimmy, as he had asked him to. The man begs to be taken as a vessel, leaving his daughter behind, and the angel grants his request. Then Cass stands up and leaves, telling Dean that he serves heaven, not people. Soon Bobby calls and asks the Winchesters to come to him urgently. The brothers go down to the bunker, where Bobby and Dean lock Sam up for his own safety. Dean hopes that Sam will be able to rid himself of the demon's blood influence while in captivity. However, Bobby begins to have doubts. Knowing that there are only a few seals left, he thinks that perhaps Sam should be allowed to use his power to kill Lilith. Dean decides to ask Cass whether Sam will be able to defeat the demon. It turns out that it is indeed possible, but it will require so much blood that he will never be the same again. But Dean himself can save people if he swears allegiance to the angels and God. In the end, Dean agrees. Meanwhile, Sam has hallucinations and breaks free. It turns out that Cass freed him. Sam rents a room where Ruby arrives. The demon gives him some of her blood and tells him where to find Lilith. The thing is, only she can break the 66th seal, which means she must be killed. Dean tracks down his brother and tries to get through to him, but nothing works, and Sam leaves. Dean meets with the angels. Zachariah and Cass won't let him see Sam, and it soon becomes clear that Lucifer's resurrection cannot be stopped, because it was predestined, and the angels always knew this. Meanwhile, Ruby helps Sam find Lilith, but the closer they get to her, the more he doubts the rightness of his actions. However, he still gives in to Ruby and goes to kill Lilith. Dean appeals to Cass's humanity and asks him to help him see his brother, because not long ago he wanted to do so, until he was sent to heaven. The angel reveals that Lilith is the last seal. As soon as Sam kills her, Lucifer will be set free. At the last moment, Cass changes his mind and helps Dean escape. They end up at Chuck's place. The prophet reminds them that this is not how it should be, and that they are disrupting the course of history. Everything around them begins to shake, and Cass realizes that the archangel is about to arrive, so he transports Dean to the monastery, where his younger brother is now. Sam immobilizes Lilith and intends to kill her, but hears his brother's voice and hesitates. Ruby and Lilith egg him on, and Sam ends up killing the demon, hoping that this will put an end to everything. However, Lilith's blood forms a kind of portal through which Lucifer must pass. Ruby finally reveals her true nature, stating that this was her plan all along, and that only he could kill the first demon converted by Lucifer. Dean manages to break through the door, and the brothers kill Ruby. After that, they watch in horror as Lucifer emerges from the portal. This is the end of the 4th season. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the like button. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.